Well, in today's episode, we will talk about something not very controversial, but I'm sure that this is a real issue that a lot of teenagers nowadays they face a lot whenever they go to school or like anywhere they go, but especially at school. It is something that they had to deal with literally every single day. It is called fitting in. Now, is fitting in good or bad, you may ask? To me, this problem actually has two sides. It can be good and it can be bad also. So what are the things that fitting in and the peer pressure is good? So for example, this scenario is that during a math lesson, the teacher asked the class a question, and literally almost every single student raised their hand to want to answer this. You're the only one who have no idea how to answer this question. Of course, you will feel somewhat a pressure pour over you, a pressure under you that you're not as good as the others, right? To me, that is a good pressure. A pressure when you have to try as hard as everyone else, especially in studying. That is a good pressure when it comes to studying, because when you see that all of the others, they achieve good score, of course, you'll have the pressure that you'll have to be as good as your friends, right? Yeah, that's absolutely right to me. So that is a good pressure. When you try hard, for example, I once have a friend. He is really good at math, and I'm actually average in math, like when there are some more advanced exercise, I can't really think, my head just freeze when there are some advanced exercise. So in this situation, I usually look up to my friend. He is really good at math, and I have a pressure to be as good as him too. So that is the time when I realize is that there's a pressure, but it's a good pressure. It is not a bad pressure to fit in with the others when it comes to studying. Now we have come to good pressure in fitting in. Let's talk about some bad pressure, some bad peer pressure. We have a question in debating is that who faces more peer pressure, girls or boys? To me, it's both actually, because normally people will say that girls face more peer pressure when it comes to appearance, their outfit, and a lot more. But for boys, they face equally the same pressure to look good, to play sports. Boys, if they don't play sports, people will call them a weak or a mama's boy or something. So I mean that having peer pressure happens to literally everyone, even the most popular girl in school. So let me ask you, what is your pressure when it comes to school? Well, my pressure is to fit in with the girls, because you know that whenever I go to school, I always try to be as tidy as possible, tying my hair up and looking as clean as possible. But for the girls, they just, let's just say that they are older than their age. They try to be more mature, and they try to be, look pretty in front of the other friends. And to me, that is a real pressure not to fit in with those girls, because I am different from those other those other people, my friends. And that is the biggest pressure for me when it comes to going to school. Now, is that pressure good or bad? Well, it depends. It can be good when it comes to when you know how to control yourself, right? When you know how to control yourself, then you will learn how to control yourself in the best way possible. Because it's a good pressure for you to understand that you don't need to be like them in order to be popular. You can be popular just by yourself, through studying, through being obedient. Appearance is important, but appearance is not all. To me, appearance is just something that people will only judge you if they first met you. So for example, on your first day to work or on your first interview, then your first day of work, your colleague, they don't know anything about you, right? So they will definitely judge you on how you look. Do you look presentable? Do you look nice? Or do you dress way too hot to go to a bar? You know, it depends. So that's the number one thing that your colleague will judge you on the first day to work. How you dress and how you look. If you look neat and presentable, then they'll think, oh, this person maybe can do the work best. And if you don't look not very neat and very presentable, then of course they will judge you. Is that you don't look very nice. You're not a very, like, how to describe it? You're not a very, you're not a person who would show up to work early, right? But that's only the first thing they will judge you when they first saw you. Of course, people say that don't judge a book by its cover. But I mean, in this, you have to judge them based on how they look and how they dress, because that's the first important impression. But the second day they meet you, they will no longer judge you on how you dress anymore. They will judge you on how well you do the work, and whether you're a fast learner or a slow learner, whether you're a good listener or not a very good listener who always interrupt the other person. So on the second day, they will only judge you through how well you do the work, right? So in this case, what I'm trying to say is that appearance is not all. So this peer pressure to fit in can be a good peer pressure. If you know how to control yourself, you can change yourself too, but not all just to look like those girls. I think if changing just to please everyone else in a bad way and it makes you feel uncomfortable is actually not a good change. When you change, you actually have to like about what you change. For example, people say that I usually dress not very sporty, not very energetic, then I can change it because I think that it will make me look more energetic and it will please the other person. But if people say about me something that I don't feel very comfortable about, then it's not very healthy to change that about you, right? So to me, peer pressure can be both good and bad. It depends on your mindset and on your thinking skills. Whether you have the perfect mind to understand that you're the different person, you're the odd one out. And sometimes the odd one out actually stands out. It has a good connection to it, right? The odd one out sometimes stands out. It's actually not a quote. I actually think of it myself. So sometimes, remember, to me, the odd one out is sometimes the one who stands out. Alright, and I've actually once heard of a quote. It said that you were not born to fit in. You were born to stand out. So fitting in is just a term that we usually use when it comes to, the crowd. They are so similar. They are exactly the same hairstyle, the same outfits, and it's a different person. I think it makes you look more unique, more attractive, and more creative instead of looking just like that crowd, right? So who would you rather want to be? Would you rather want to be the person who always looks exactly the same, literally like everyone else, who does not have a very good taste of fashion, who always the copycat has to copy your friends? Or would you rather be the person who is unique, the odd one out, and stands out in the crowd? I would rather be the second person. I would rather be the one who maybe a little bit different, maybe not as smart as the others, maybe a little bit more talkative, maybe a little bit childish, but that's who I am, and I'm proud of that. So the moral through this video here is actually be yourself. It's not just be your true self. It actually meant that you have to be your true inner self. What does it mean to be your true inner self? It means that whatever the situation may be, it's all very important to be your inner self. Be the one that you always believe in. And don't change yourself just because you feel that pressure. Because peer pressure does happen. I mean, like, for example, sometimes people don't express that, but during, for example, it's a real example, honestly. It happened to me before. Is that I am just an ordinary girl. I'm not that fancy. And during a trip, there's actually so many girls where they are like fancy, they dress nice, they wear makeup. Just because they wear makeup doesn't mean that you have to wear makeup too, right? It does not make any difference if sometimes your true face is even more beautiful than wearing makeup. So remember, just because what your friends did doesn't mean that you have to do just the same. So remember that. And that I was just an ordinary, I wear normal shirts, normal jeans, and they wear like dresses and sports bra and a lot of other things. Which sometimes I feel like I am different. I'm not like them. But that is what makes me unique and stands out. And I am just my own version. I am not a mini version of anyone else. So that's why fitting in can be good when it comes to studying. You are motivated by those friends around you that they study good and they study best, and you're not as good as them maybe. So that pressure under you, I think for me it's a good pressure, that you are being motivated, that inspires you to be a better version, to study better. But when it comes to, appearance and, fitting in for the crowd, maybe they smoke, then you have the pressure that you have to smoke too. That doesn't mean that you have to smoke just like them. So to me, that pressure is very unhealthy. And it's a bad peer pressure. Yeah, for me, that's what I believe in. Well, honestly, it depends on you. Maybe I'm not trying to say that you cannot be like them. You can, but for me, like, you are who you are. You can change yourself only if you feel comfortable with the change. But don't change yourself if you feel uncomfortable with it. And honestly, just be your true version. Because remember, you were born to fit. You were born to stand out, not to fit in. Of course, I think that everyone will be proud of you, whoever you are, whether you are this person or that person, you're always incredible. So this episode, I think it's mostly about fitting in. Is that a really good option or a bad option? Well, for me, I did fit in sometimes when it comes to studying, because I see that, oh, I'm jealous that those friends sing so good. My friends draw so good. I'm so jealous. I think it's a good peer pressure to be jealous, because if you're jealous, then you have to work harder to be as good as them, right? To draw as good as them. That is a good peer pressure. And it's a good thing to be jealous about when someone is better at you at a particular subject. But I don't think it's a good thing if you feel the pressure that you have to be just like them, dress just like them, or talk or walk just like them. Just be your true self, and I think that's enough for all of us. So overall, I think that, well, personally, I believe that, for example, if you think you're childish, then maybe because I usually have this mindset, which I think that I am so different from the other person, is maybe that I'm too childish. And my friends, they are probably more mature than I am. Well, let's just say that being childish is a good thing, because I can explore and I can have all the fun adventure instead of being too mature and you cannot have any fun at all. So overall, the lesson through this episode that I want to share to all of you is that, remember, the odd one out always stands out. So bye. I'll see you in the next episode for more fun discussions like this.